was that there was a lack of engage, and there still is some sort of lack on engage. You got some pillar placement. Obviously, Camille can jump in, but you don't want her to be the only frontliner that you have. So from Unicorns of Love, still missing that last support that really puts the engage in their composition.
And AHaHaCiK's going to fall onto his Trundle here, though. 4-0 across the course of regular season. It's undefeated on that pick. Twisted Fate for Bolulu. Once again, a champion on which he can move around the map. And team that up with Mojito, who played the Kiana game 1, now is playing the Talon. It's a very deadly duo to have to match into.
Yeah, makes sense. Immediately get rid of the Sylas. Make sure that Sylas can't steal the Twisted Fate ultimate and walk around the map with you, get a response to that. I wonder if he's afraid of the likes of LeBlanc as well, going in from the early laning phase, or if he feels confident for that matchup as well. But you can see from the get-go of Unicorns of Love, they're targeting away Crazy, and it makes a lot of sense because they did have a lot of play around Crazy earlier today.
Get rid of some of those power picks in the top lane. Of course, with you already picking the Camille as well, you know things that are good into that Camille. Renekton, one of those. Galatasaray now with their second ban will remove the ability to roam around for Nomanz in that Galio. Of course, have gone to Santa's in the bottom lane as well. Has a 20.8% duo proximity in the 6 games he has played on Galio this split.
Jay's coming in as the last one, so just making sure that this Camille can get as free as a lane as she wants to. But, you know, the likes of Fiora is still up. We've already seen it once. Does have a decent matchup into the Camille as well. So if you do want to play that side lane, is still an option to come into this one. Another champion we really haven't talked about for ages due to patches is also Gwen. I'm not going to stop it there because it is obviously only a hover, and you can just pick your support here if you want to have the counter pick for top.
Looks like the Gwen might be locked in here, though. Crazy's going to take that up towards the top side. Does give you that AP threat, does a huge amount of work. And of course, Gwen is immune, so it can be pretty difficult to lock down in these games. Unicorns now have to look at their support and their mid lane and decide where they're going to lock their picks.
Yeah, so there's 2 options you can go for Unicorns of Love here. Either you go for a champion where you can shove in the waves against the Twisted Fate and keep it under his tower, or you go for the aggressive option and go for a champion that can kill him at the same time. Now, with Amumu still being up, they see it as such a big threat with the Misfortune that they want to take it away from them, but there still is a lot of these engaged champions that Galatasaray can opt for themselves. That's an Aurelion Soul Hover, and while I agree that would be super fun to see,
about that.
I think he's going to go back to this aggressive style we saw earlier, where is you want to kill the Twisted Fate. You want to make sure that when he's dead, he can't roam.
Yeah, the LeBlanc will be locked in. Twister, come on, Aurelion Soul, though. Even Aurelion Soul mains know that the champion isn't that good.
Nomanz would bring out Vayne mid. Nomanz has these unconventional pick. You know, if there's a mid laner that would do it, I believe it would be Nomanz.
I'll give you that one. Rakan is the final pick here for Galatasaray. We'll see Zergsting making his way around these teamfights with that quickness. Compositionally, you can see that Galatasaray seems to be wanting to do the same thing they did in their first game of the day. Roam around, look to get perhaps top lane or bot lane ahead with this Twisted Fate Talon duo, and then force Unicorns of Love on the back foot.
Yeah, I wonder if it's going to be enough. I think a lot of pressure is going to be on these 2 junglers. Mojito now on a jungler where he get a lot of agency to actually roam fast up towards the top side if you want to play for that. Zergsting on Rakan as well gets to have priority with Misfortune and can move up there as well. Oh, did you drop your pen medic? I've never seen that before.
No, they can't see it. They don't need to know that I dropped my pen on the floor. It's fine.
Yeah, but also, once again, AHaHaCiK usually a jungler that plays around the laners, and you're going to have to do that, not only to get kills, but to kind of stabilize them. So if they are pushed in, make sure that they can get a good reset that's favorable. Make sure that you get into the mid game in a good position, and make sure that you can threaten this Twisted Fate in the mid lane, because LeBlanc with Trundle has super easy setup. You come into the lane, you place down the pillar, and Twisted Fate almost immediately will have to flash.
Yeah, it's so difficult to get away from that pillow, especially as you don't have a dash on the Twisted Fate. We're going to get on into our final game of the day. Galatasaray trying to make it a clean 2-0 on day 1. And pretty much, I'm not going to say lock their spot in at least a knockout match, but pretty much guarantee themselves a tiebreaker if they beat the Unicorns of Love here, because of course UOL would be 0-2 and Galatasaray would be 2-0.
Important to notice we don't have head-to-head either, so tiebreakers can easily happen and get more days later towards the end stages of play-ins here. moving out on the map. Doesn't seem like we're going to get any crazy shenanigans. Unicorns of Love can try and see if they want some early intel on Mojito. Doesn't have flash either. He's got Ignite on the Talon. Usually because you have this mobility where you're able to just jump over walls, so you don't even want the flash.
Sure. It's very easy for you to work your way around the map with that Assassin's Path, or the backflip, that we like to call it. For the moment, though, both teams just making, you know, a little bit of an eye, a little bit of foray into the enemy jungle, trying to look towards getting some vision down, but looks like only Unicorns will get a deeper ward, whereas Galatasaray decided to go for more passive ward positioning in that pixel bush.
I'm pretty sure it's a front flip, but I'm just going to leave that there.
It could be either.
Sure. But I think, once again, attacking this mid lane from Unicorns of Love is going to be pivotal, because if you can put Bolulu behind, you just enable so much more on the map, and having that pillar set up, super easy to get that done. So what you can do as an AHaHaCiK right now is that you fast clear your red side jungle here. You can even skip Raptors if you want to. I think he's going to skip Crocs for sure. But then move up to the top side and come in from a path behind the Twisted Fate where the pillar can just come down, you force the flash, and then you're happy, because then you can always just come in for the return afterwards.
See if AHaHaCiK is able to make his way towards that mid lane anytime soon. Both junglers starting on the bottom side of the map, working their way up towards the top. Both top laners going Ignite TP as well. Something we saw very commonly at the start of summer. Of course, Gwen falling out of favor just a little bit across the course of the summer season, but still very strong in her own right, just not quite as overpowered as she used to be.
Yeah, and now down towards the bottom lane, Galatasaray, they didn't have to leash, or actually they did leash as well, but it just seems like they came first onto this one, and therefore have gained the priority, are crashing the wave here. What I would assume would be the second one, and then they can just get some early intel if they want to. They can move Zergsting just into the fog of war to threaten the push that Nomanz is having in the mid lane.
Be a relatively early roam around from Zergsting, but always a possibility. And of course, LeBlanc relatively safe in her own right as well in that mid lane, can just distort away, but you are trying to use it to wave clear a little bit in the early game as well. Can and miss there for Nomanz, as Bolulu, although he's behind in CS, will be stacking up that deck, stacking up the gold on the Twisted Fate.
And you can see what it takes for Trundle to keep up with the Talon as well. Talon basically has cleared his whole jungle, only has the Crocs left, but the Trundle has skipped the Crocs, he's skipped the Wolves, and now he's trying to set up for the Scuttles, trying to respawn or come in from behind in the mid lane, as we already talked about earlier.
Scryer's Bloom does not quite spot out Mojito, dodged to the side of it. Crocs reset just a little bit, but he is able to go back and collect them all without them gaining too much health. So Mojito with a full clear of his jungle, about to camp ahead of AHaHaCiK right now, but will be working his way down towards the bottom side Scuttlecrab. AHaHaCiK was trying to track him, but couldn't quite find him out, and now maybe we'll look for that pillar gank you were talking about in the mid lane instead. Puts down his W, and is it like dirty earth? Filthy dirt earth? I know most of the ability names.
They were too afraid to commit to the play there as well with the pillar, because they knew that Mojito would be around the bot side Scuttle, because he weren't up towards the top side, so it just felt like they couldn't threaten it there. So did you find out what it's called?
It's Frozen Domain.
Frozen Domain, there you go.
Because they changed it, because it all used to be filthy stuff with Trundle, right? When he was like the Junkyard King, and then they made him the king of like Freyord type idea. So it's Pillar of Ice instead of Pillar of Filth, which is what it used to be. Am I showing my age here with my knowledge?
I mean, I was there as well. I just don't remember this. So with the camp respawners now, it's going to be interesting to see what Galatasaray wants to do with their priority, because the bot side camps have respawned. You have Mojito down here as well on the Talon, and it's easy to get out with a Rakan and a Talon roaming around together. So I'd love to see Galatasaray at some point say, you know what, we have so much bot lane priority. Let's move Zergsting around with the Talon.
You can see Argonavt, getting forced out in that bottom lane, alive, hitting the double ups over and over. Makes it very difficult for Argonavt to play in the lane. He is going to finish this recall. Santa's just trying to block out any possibility of the Galatasaray bot lane doing anything too aggressive. The wave will push in, so that's about 6 minions lost for Argonavt, and he's already 17 behind. As Alive and Zergsting continue to win out in the 2v2, and because of that pressure, they can work their way towards this bot side river and take the first dragon of the game.
Yeah, they really haven't been able to find a lead through this bot lane. He's only level 3 on the Ezreal, 5 minutes into the game. You can see Alive and Zergsting level 4, both of them. Even Santa's higher level than his AD carry. just because he's been shoved out by these Qs coming through from Misfortune, and now with the extra AD coming through pickaxe, 2 longswords, and you take a look onto Argonavt, I mean, realistically speaking, the only AD he's getting is tiers of minions, and then obviously the longsword for himself.
That TP synergy was pretty on point there from Bolulu and Nomanz in the mid lane. Both of them getting back into the lane at exactly the same moment. Bolulu now 6 though. Nomanz on his way towards that mark, but Bolulu will see what he wants to do with this first Destiny Gate. Has a lot of options.
And it's also the tempo advantage you now get from the bot lane. Zergsting, we talked about it. If you have the priority, you can move this guy out of the map. So he's actually shadowing Bolulu in the mid lane. So if a gank is to come through, or if the LeBlanc goes for an all-in, then he's there to back it up, and he's helping him with the shove out here.
And just gets the wave back underneath that tower. Bolulu will be able to now work his way towards the top line. AHaHaCiK spots it out. Mojito waiting around the wings here as well. Boss, of course, no flash, but hookshot wall dive is a pretty easy escape tool for a Camille in this sort of situation. And with the possibility that Nomanz was working his way up towards the top lane, it's pretty respectful there from Galatasaray to back away.
Yeah, you're completely right, Medic. Even though Bolulu could follow up with the Destiny Gate, minion wave just wasn't pushed in, so they didn't want to risk losing resources if a fight were to go back. And we can take a look at the gold right now. I want to look at the 280 carries because that's pretty much where gold lead has come without no jungle attention. This has just been the 2 bot laners against each other in the mid lane. Surprising to see as well Twisted Fate actually being up here. Obviously he does have that passive where you get some extra gold, so it is quite natural from the champion, but this mid lane with the LeBlanc and the Trundle, it just haven't worked out yet. And at some point, you have to find the lead as Unicorns of Love, because a man advantage will be created with the Twisted Fate at some point, with the bot lane priority that we continuously see from Galatasaray.
I think Galatasaray very happy to play this sort of style, like wait it out, take things slowly, find a single play, and then start taking the game from there. Because usually what we would have seen perhaps is a little bit more aggression from the Unicorns of Love. And AHaHaCiK, pretty impactful in the early game, but really hasn't found his opportunity, hasn't found his chance so far in this matchup.
Well, I think, yeah, you can definitely see it between the two, but it just feels like they're less willing to create plays this time around. They're taking it way more slow, and it might still benefit Unicorns of Love in some end, because Camille, I mean, famously known for being a champions that want the 2 first items to actually get out there as well. But you talked about the individual lead, and you're completely right, because it hasn't been to a point where they continuously have been able to just push in the lane and counter jungle, but it's also due to the champion that Mojito is now playing. These stats that you just finally displayed did not exist before, because it was not the type of champion that he had to play before either. Now he's more about playing around the lanes, and has actually started up the Rift Owl.
AHaHaCiK might miss the fact that Mojito is doing this. Blast comes up, now works his way across. Santos is on his way as well, but supports roamed around, as you say, Zergsting. But Alive has joined this fray, so it will be a man advantage for Galatasaray if they want to take this fight. And AHaHaCiK continues to step forward, has to subjugate, has that level 6. Boss trading with Crazy off towards the top side. Hallowed Grand going to do a lot of work. Rift Herald secured, Boss jumps away. And, oh, flash forward here. There's the stun card. They're looking for Boss. He's already used the hookshot wall dive. Hexagon made him coming out as well. Boss is ticking. And the Ignite will not quite be enough to secure that kill. However, the Rift Herald will tank up this tower. Santa's coming in from the side. Nomanz there as well. There's the first bandage toss. Zergsting is low bullet time, gets the first kill. Second and third go over to Galatasaray, though, as AHaHaCiK is now underneath the tower. We'll be able to get one in response, but that's a great play there for Galatasaray. They get the Rift Herald charging in. They get 3 plates in the top lane, and they manage to pick up 3 kills.
Yeah, so they're still going to get the plates here. The gold is being shared, and down towards the bottom side of the map, Argonavt is finally getting some gold for himself. He's still 800 gold behind just because of the kills that Alive was able to pick up there. So still a very good fight coming through from the side of Galatasaray. And when Destiny Gate is up and available again, you got more champions to actually try and engage on. Now you have the mobility of the Talon, and you can attack AHaHaCiK in the jungle because he no longer has flash on the Trundle.
AHaHaCiK just very easily caught out right now, as you say. No flash on the Trundle, no subjugate for the next moment. We'll have another look at this play because Galatasaray have a numbers advantage when it all kicks off.
It's one of those things with the Rift Herald where you just have to forfeit it. You already know that the opponent has a man advantage, and trying to contest it here is, quite honestly, just a bit BM, because you think you have what it takes to outmaneuver them, and while it does get close, it's just not going to be enough. So while they don't want to wait for the minion wave, the Misfortune is just going to walk up and just bullet time him to death, and there's not much Boss can do about it. They do get the trade kill, but it's a trade kill onto their support with the Amumu, and while he's still stuck on the tower and AHaHaCiK, Talon just tanks some tower shots, but in the end, there's not much to do about it. It's just quite simple. It's a man advantage, it's a Rift Herald to tank it up, and it's a dive.
Yeah, because of it, it's a 2,400 gold lead. 2 kills on the MF means that Alive has already picked up his Gale Force. It's in a very strong spot on this Misfortune, and Galatasaray with their 3rd objective of the game. Rift Herald, 2 dragons. Really doesn't look like Unicorns of Love have a way to answer this right now.
No, it's definitely a problem, and we know that Galatasaray, they like to take it quite slow. They don't mind just waiting around for these next types of objective, but I would love to see them come in here finally with the Talon Rakan jungle support duo that we talk about. Steal away the camps, get this deep vision so you can continue with this priority that you now have. And once again, remember, AHaHaCiK, no flash into Trundle. You have to expose that.
Well, right now it's Crazy who will be the target of Unicorns of Love's attentions. Destiny available for Bolulu. Crazy underneath the tower. Hallowed Path coming in. There's the gate as well from Bolulu, looking for the Sun card. Will lock up one. Santa's shot to the tower. Crazy survives. Bolulu pops the stopwatch. Nomanz coming in. Flash into the distortion. Gets enough damage to kill off Crazy, but AHaHaCiK now on the wrong side of the rift. He's dead. Boss, you dive too deep. You have died too greedily. Another kill. Oh, wow.
No way.
Galatasaray just all over the map. They're just wiping the floor with the Unicorns of Love. They're mopping them up.
And that's the individual lead we always talk about with Galatasaray. I mean, Mojito might even go for another.
Shadow Assault will slow him down, and Nomanz able to distort away. Should be able to get to safety here underneath his tower.
But in the end, very, very destructive fight once again from Galatasaray. It's Unicorns of Love trying to find the leverage back into the game, but they just don't have the priority to do so. While the Talon and the Rakan was clearing vision out down in the bottom side, they're so mobile. You jump over a wall, Rakan jumps with you, another wall, another one goes with you, and then Bolulu, obviously with the Destiny and Gate, just seizing it and finding the kills. And now you can get the resets out, you can start attacking these camp respawners, so you can just wait these 3 minutes for the next objective or the Drake or the second Rift Herald that also is about to spawn soon.
That's a 5,000 gold lead for Galatasaray at the 12-minute mark. Well, 4,500 if we're being precise.
Here we
as the
go.
TP comes in, and you said you wanted to see more action from Galatasaray. Well, they are pulling the trigger at every opportunity, and they are firing shots at Unicorns of Love. Nomanz forced away. Santa's trying to dodge away as well, but Nomanz ticking down with the Ignite will die to the cards. The deck is stacked against them as Galatasaray continue to push forward. And that's another kill in the books for the TCL representatives. 2.5 minutes on that Ocean Drake. They are in a very strong position to start getting towards that soul. I mean, it's a very early soul as well. It's like a 20-minute soul.
Definitely, and just look at the vision control as well from Galatasaray. It was already put out before the fight started, and now with, once again, you taking control of the jungle, Raptors respawning, Crux is going to respawn as well, but you just not getting any leverage or any extra golden experience, so now we finally start seeing Mojito excel himself in the jungle.
And the problem for Unicorns of Love is, unless you hit either a chain or a bandage toss, this is what's going to happen. You're going to chase and you're going to chase after Mojito, and you are going to die because you chase. You can't lock down a Talon. Destiny coming in from Bolulu. AHaHaCiK, 3rd time he dies in 14 minutes of action. He has been totally shut down. This is a pick he was undefeated on in his home region. Now he's sitting at 1-3-2.
Yeah, it's not the first time today, though. We're hearing about undefeated champions go defeated finally when they face a stronger opponent, and Galatasaray, they're just excelling that pressure. We talked about the windows that you would have on AHaHaCiK. He finally has that flash up, so now you get some, extra breathing room. You're going to have to flash again at some point if this keeps up. But even at the same time, Unicorns of Love, they struggle to find a response because right now they don't have a single winning lane, so there's no way for you to force yourself up through a lane or through the bottom lane or whatever. You're just losing out everywhere on the map.
Santa's trying to find something, but Mojito very easily just dodges away from it. It is a 6,500 gold lead at the 15-minute mark. And the Unicorns, well, they're going to start up the Rift Herald, but you got to be a little bit wary because Galatasaray could probably take this fight at a numbers disadvantage. Because Bolulu's backing away, because Mojito's just reset, should be Unicorns to secure. That is the first neutral objective they have garnered this game.
Yeah, it's one of those things where TP no longer off for Bolulu, Destiny Gate neither, so as soon as Unicorns of Love got to be first on objective, great. The problem with being the team that's behind and having the Rift Herald is that you rarely have the setup to commit to it to a tower, so quite often you'll just have to drop it in a lane and then hope that you're going to be able to take it. But in the top side, you are finally starting to see some light because the Crazy was down so long towards the bottom side earlier. Boss has been able to finally get a turret taken down. Yeah,
and he's actually the only player on his team that's even in gold with their opposite man apart from the supports. Look at that mid lane difference. 2,100 gold. Bolulu is ahead. He is absolutely farming up champions and CS in this game. And now with the Ocean Drake up in 8 seconds, expectations are that Galatasaray will set up around it. I will say, Guldborg, you know what this is getting me really excited for?
Yeah, go on.
Final game of day 2. You know who it is?
No, who is it?
Galatasaray versus C9.
That does already sound like a banger.
Honestly, with how Galatasaray are playing, I'm wondering if they can challenge for first in the group. It's going to be a close one as here they go once again. And the bullet time comes out, and Unicorns of Love have to flash like Neo from the Matrix. Boss coming in with a Hexa Golden, but the TP's going to join them up. Alive was the target there for Boss. He manages to survive for a very long time. In the end, he will fall. And Galatasaray with a flank TP from Crazy managed to pick up 2.
Yeah, strong team fighting as well, once again from Galatasaray. And while they finally picked up some with low HP bar, Nomanz just distorted right into the wall. I couldn't get over to finish it off, and that does leave Galatasaray with, once again, a 1 fight and the perfect setup for the Drake, which is sole point. And by the time this is going, the next Drake will be up at 23 minutes, or 22.
And Nomanz having a difficult day today. Remember Zoriana getting caught out a couple of times in the first game they played here. Mojito will secure this. Doesn't actually have the smite, but able to take it in time. That's the Ocean. And as you say, a 22-minute so. Let's have a look at this Axe replay as Unicorns of Love perhaps think they can find something on the turnaround.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're close to doing a TP coming in as well. You can actually see the amount of damage you get from the True Shot Barrage here. It's actually quite immense. Nomanz then can't really dash over the wall, and that means that there's no follow-up for Crazy, who does jump onto Alive. They finish it off last second, but it cost you so much. And then Crazy is finally able to join the fight when his own TP. Then you're overextended, and then you're just getting picked off.
It's just these small things that really can affect how your team's chances fare at Worlds, especially in single round robin, especially in best of 1. You have 4 chances to prove yourself. Unicorns at the moment sitting at 0-1 after their loss earlier today. Perhaps heading towards a 0-2 scoreline. I mean, it would be a pretty big comeback if they were able to fight back from 6,500 gold behind.
I mean, you can't come back unless you are behind, right? So at least they got that going for them so far, but I completely agree with you, Medic, because it just looked hard for them to find any leverage. And normally we'd say, okay, let's try and attack a side lane. Let's try to catch them off guard. But the problem is, if that person is not Twisted Fate, he's going to collapse as well. If you're not fast enough at killing someone, the Talon is going to be there before you even know it. There's just so much mobility that makes it hard for you as Unicorns of Love to find any leverage back into this game. And you can see Galatasaray, I'm actually quite impressed with how respective they are playing, knowing that the only win condition from Unicorns of Love is to get back in and find a pick. Crazy, we'd usually see him get picked off here.
Yeah, it's very respectful from Crazy, as you say, shoring up some of the weaknesses we perhaps saw from them in the TCL, some of their foibles, some of their flaws. Crazy backing all the way off here, knowing that Unicorns of Love are on this side, knowing he's on the weak side of the map. Zergsting is going to come across, so is Alive to make sure that this tier 2 doesn't fall too easily. But while all of this is happening, Bolulu, who has TP, is splitting up towards the top side. He backs away now, just in case he needed to TP to this fight, but because now Unicorns of Love have backed away, TP's expended from Nomanz there. That might... I mean, the thing with that TP is you've got 2.5 minutes on an Ocean Drake, and so you're saying we have to have Nomanz at the Drake before it starts. He can't be splitting somewhere else, but because you expend that, now Bolulu could split push, pull Nomanz over to that lane, and it makes that dragon a lot easier for you to play for.
Yeah, it can make it awkward because then you have to send your Camille into the Twisted Fate, which I mean, it's still viable, and Boss will have his TP up for the Drake fight when it finally comes through. But you're right about the point going into it. I like still what Unicorns of Love did. They realized as soon as Bolulu went into the fog of war, this guy either has Destiny Gate or the TP,
sure.
So we need to back off immediately, not over forcing for the tier 2 turret, because if they did that, they would have almost immediately gone down to the team fight that was about to come. And right now what you do as Galatasaray is that you need to clear your top side jungle. You need to make sure that you have got all the resources on your half on the map, and once that has happened, then you start moving into the enemy jungle, right? Then you start getting the control around the Baron and solidify yourself on the map, because then you can threaten the Baron, move down to the Drake, and just keep Unicorns of Love in a pinch where there's so many objectives that they need to be wary of.
It's about a minute 30 before that Ocean Dragon spawns. Let's see where we are in terms of items across the board. 2 complete for Boss. He is actually moderately strong with that execution as well. Crazy only has the Rift Maker for himself. Mojito sitting on the Gore Drinker into the Divine Sundra, so 1 mythic apiece for the 2 junglers. However, this is where things start to become slightly different, Guldborg. Rapid Fire Cannon and Everfrost complete on the Twisted Fate. Alongside that, Gale Force and Collector and a BF Sword for Alive. So he is almost an entire item ahead of Argonavt on this Ezreal.
And what was the stat about Galatasaray when they're ahead at 20 minutes, Medic?
19 wins, 1 loss in the...
Well, 20 now.
Well, yeah, 20 wins, 1 loss, considering what we saw earlier as well. But in the TCL, they only lost 1 out of 20 games where they were ahead at the 20-minute mark. And it looks like that might be how they continue to go here. Zergsting dashing around with the battle dance, but Nomanz will just dash away. Destiny hits onto Boss, will jump across the wall. Everfrost doesn't connect, and Zergsting dashes forward for a little bit of extra vision. Nomanz going to try and turn this one back around. Zergsting able to walk his way away. 30 seconds on the Ocean, but the Destiny now down. Crazy also burnt his ultimate as well. Needlework not available for the Gwen.
But this will come down to a fight for the priority here. You can see both teams don't have to care about side lane. It's all about this Drake spawning in 10 seconds, and they're doing everything they can to get control of the river.
Stun card, but it's only onto Nomanz, just a little bit of chip damage. That Rapid Fire Cannon will do a lot of work here for the Twisted Fate. Unicorns of Love able to split Galatasaray for the moment. For the time being, they are the ones with priority, with the control of the Dragon Pit.
But it's still going to be so difficult because, yeah, you're going to be forced to start up the objective, and then Galatasaray, they can collapse on you. Zergsting does have flash.
There goes Mojito, and AHaHaCiK is stunned up. He's going to have to flash away, and that Dragon is ripe for the taking, but Zergsting's already dead alive, forced off towards the top side as well. Stun card going on to an AHaHaCiK as well as the Dragon secure. That's Ocean Soul for Galatasaray, and in a 3v4, Nomanz forced away, Argonavt dead, and AHaHaCiK running for the hills. Nomanz goes off towards the top side. Doesn't really matter that Unicorns of Love got an equal trade in that fight. They lost the soul, and because of that, well, Nomanz is going to lose his life as well. Stun card, wild cards, he missed.
It's that
fine.
I mean, might be a longer chase, but I mean, he should be able to run him down here. He's got the Rapid Fire Cannon. Zergsting is coming out from the base as well, and
okay,
I mean,
Nomanz. Okay.
Is that execute?
You. Oh, that's actually well played by Nomanz. Good job getting the execute. However, does mean that he is a little bit mismatched with the rest of his team's death timers. Boss going in here as AHaHaCiK tries to join the fight. Mojito trading onto Boss. Boss will get the shutdown. Crazy going in, but the hookshot wall dive will get Boss to safety, and Unicorn's actually picking off the jungler. There is a big deal because Galatasaray had the option to try and force a Baron.
Huge props to Boss here. Like, in the fight we just had around the Drake, he found 2 kills by himself, and now in the return exchange where they're chasing for the kills, he finds a shot down onto Mojito, putting him in a really good spot. Where if he finds that 3rd item, I'm not saying that it's certain, but it creates the possibility of a big, big threat for Galatasaray.
Always having someone that can jump onto the backline that can isolate someone is so powerful. We'll see here, Santa's, Nomanz, and Boss go up towards the top side, try and catch Alive out.
It's quite simple here, and AHaHaCiK just getting completely thrown out of the fight because he's so low he can't get into the pit. But then you see Boss once again towards the backline where he's able to pick up kills with the help of Nomanz, and it's these small things that does give you some leverage in the game still, but in the end it's still a victory for Galatasaray with the remaining kills that they're able to pick up and the tempo they have on the map.
The fact that they lost the Ocean Soul for Unicorns puts them very much in the hole. Looking at Galatasaray trying to find a way to claw themselves out of a little bit of a ditch. Crazy working his way up towards the middle lane. Galatasaray can just gain mid lane prio and then work their way towards this Baron. Unicorns of Blood have a couple of wards in the vicinity, but those will be cleared out pretty quickly by Zergsting and co.
I think that's been interesting with Galatasaray is that they've actually put their vision back a little bit the closer we got to the late game. They're no longer trying to go into the enemy and take care of their camps. Their vision is purely around some of these objectives. I think it's actually diminishing some potential pick that they could have because they would have the intel in the enemy jungle, but they're just being so careful about it, and that is the Galatasaray way. They like to take it slow, they like to not risk it until they find a team fight where they can know they can outplay them.
Well, Mojito tried to jump away here, but the chains are gonna land. Santa's on the chase as well with the Curse of the Sad Mummy. Mojito might be caught out. Rampage happens as Bolulu is able to kill off Argonavt. Mojito still in the midst of 4 will go down. 1-for-1 trade to so far in this fight. Bolulu still on the chase. Gold card locked in. Santa's locked down. Crazy jumping forward, and Santos goes in, sacrifices himself for the good of the team. He will fall. And AHaHaCiK and Nomanz survive up towards the top side. Boss will be shut down. And although their jungler is dead, I wonder if Galatasaray will just say, well, Baron is a possibility. We can draw Nomanz into a fight. We can draw an AHaHaCiK into this fight as well. They will start off the Baron. Trundle has Smite.
You don't have to be super fast about this one either, Medic. You just need to take care of them, and then as soon as the Talon respawn, he's just going to parkour all his way down to the Baron pit.
Bolulu has that stun card locked in. Crazy stepping forward. There we are. Trundle stunned up. Baron disengaged from. Galatasaray deciding they didn't want to fight it without their jungler. Nomanz does have that Banshees, is able to jump away. The exhaust going down, and Alive is on the chase. Nomanz dashes back straight into the waiting arms of Bolulu, who will secure his 5th kill of the game. Of 19 kills, he has been involved in 16 of them on this Twisted Fate.
It does slow down a potential Baron, but Bolulu, he does have TP.
Does
yes, exactly. He's just going to go for it immediately. I mean, you have more members now. You can still contest it. And AHaHaCiK, no flash though, so they need to find some sort of way to get into the pit, or some sort of CC chain to kill someone.
Santos does not have Curse of the Sad Mummy. It's about to come up, cool down, and the bullet time will kill off Argonavt before Unicorns of Love really had a chance to approach. Baron down to 2,000, and AHaHaCiK without flash, without a way into the pit, will have to give this one up. Galatasaray, Ocean Soul, 9,000 gold their advantage. Baron buff for the next 3 minutes. We'll be looking to close this one out and end day one undefeated.
Yeah, so methodical about it as well. I mean, outside of Mojito really being in a position where it's easy to catch him off guard, the rest of the team is doing such a good job at splitting off the opponent. So Crazy finds the pick onto Argonavt, and then it's really easy for Bolulu to join in with the rest of them. And then Zergsting just finding so many charms with the quickness, allowing his team to catch up and, you know, just take care of the rest of the fight really here.
It's very difficult for Unicorns of Love to do anything because of the range of those stun cards. Galatasaray now pushing in the bottom lane. A minute left before that Elder Drake spawns. Unicorns of Love have only picked up a Rift Herald. Of all the neutral objectives in this game, they got 2nd Rift Herald.
At least it's something.
I mean, it is something, but when you're 10,000 gold in the hole, perhaps you'd be hoping you picked up a little bit more throughout it. Double up is going to land there onto Argonavt. He is forced back underneath this tower. Single auto attack takes him down to half of his health pool. Boss forced down towards the bottom side of the fight. Meanwhile, Crazy continues to split push, continues to pressure by himself. This cannon minion and Alive doing a lot of work to the tower, and that is the mid lane inhibitor tower down. Nomanz jumping forward. Bolulu continues to have that gold card of death locked above his head, and as soon as it goes down, Unicorns of Love can step up.
There's just nothing they can do about it. The waves necessarily not even that same. Crazy was taking care of the tier 2 turret while the rest of them was just knocking down the inhib tower. And now as a 5-man unit, they're just gonna take care of the last one down towards the bottom lane.
So here's the problem if you're Unicorns. You see that damage Nomanz just did? It's gone already because Galatasaray just healed up straight away with the Ocean Soul. They then get a kill onto Santos. They then get a kill onto Boss. And Galatasaray, the TCL representatives, are looking to close out the day undefeated. 2-0 is the scoreline that will be read tomorrow by Shocks. Galatasaray in such a strong position as they continue to push in. Double inhibitors down. Baron buff remains for 50 seconds, and AHaHaCiK, Nomanz, and Argonavt really can't defend against it. Second Nexus tower goes down. Galatasaray, defying many's expectations, go undefeated on day one.
It's huge for Turkey. We were talking about a redemption run from MSI, and now 2-0 on the first day of play-ins in a lot of games where people did not expect them to come out on top. Unicorns of Love, we were talking about them because of last year. They made it into the group stage as well from play-ins. And I gotta say, they are evolving throughout the day in terms of how dominant they were. The first game were a bit slow, but coming into this second one, it was 29 minutes. The average game time on wins of 33 minutes in the TCL, and they did even better in this one.